Hiya. Hi Liam, you alright? And there's a couple more people joining. I just thought I'd do a very quick live chat about Newcastle and all sorts of other stuff. I've had a really busy week. Been obviously back at work. Hi Mark. And I thought about doing a live show tonight. I never got a chance to kind of do it properly because I've just been too busy. So I just thought I'd do a very quick chat now, really. So I just thought we could maybe talk about Newcastle and the season and whatever, the takeover and the game that's coming up on Monday against Brighton and what we think about that. So just let me know what do you think about the Brighton game? Is anyone even bothered about it? I don't know. I just feel like, to me, the season is petering out into nothing. I feel like ever since we kind of obviously after the Bournemouth game, that was great, but then ever since then we just kind of, the performances have been rubbish, with the results haven't been good. Feels like the season just needs to end, and it's sort of like we're just going through the motions, and it feels like the players are just going through the motions as well. So I mean, I hope we can get a result against Brighton. It would be good to finish this. Obviously we're going to play Liverpool on the last day of the season, so that's not very good. Hello Jackie, that's my mum. But it would be nice to get a result against Brighton, because it's probably the last time we've got a chance of getting a positive result this season. So I think we could beat Brighton, but it's a 50-50 shot in my view. I think that, to me, it just looks like the players just aren't kind of bothering really as much. I think since they've ensured survival, it's been pretty flat. So that's what I think. Now then, let me just see if I can get these messages back up. There we go. Liam says, "Is the deal close? Do you know?" I don't know. I mean, obviously we were all hoping that it would be done today, but it's not. And really, I think we all kind of knew that. When is this going to be announced? Either way, it's just dragging on and frustrating, really. But well, the Premier League have to make a decision soon, because at the end of the day, Newcastle United need to plan for next season. They need to plan for next season, and at the moment, we can't do that, really, not properly. And I mean, if we're letting Ashley plan for next season, then next season is going to be a struggle, even if the takeover goes ahead at a later date. So obviously the Premier League's announced that the transfer window is going to open next week, I think it is, and we really need to kind of have something in place by then. We could do with the new owners having some say in what's going on in terms of transfers and that sort of thing. Otherwise, it's just going to be another long season next season. So I'm just trying to get these messages back up because they keep disappearing. Good evening, Geordie. Brighton have a lot more to play for. The thing is, Brighton are safe as well, though, aren't they? Really, I think they are safe, actually, thinking about it. So they've done pretty well, actually, I have to say, Brighton, because they looked doomed, didn't they? And Graham Potter seems to have pulled it round for them. They've actually played pretty well overall since Project Restart. So it's not going to be an easy game, and I mean, we have won at Brighton before, but generally we don't tend to do that well there. So we'll see. Liam says, "What do you think about Maximin?" I worry that if the club is not sold, then he'll be gone. I think that Ashley would cash in on him. It'd be like Ashley's last payday from Newcastle. So that would be obviously really disappointing if he goes. But we just don't hang on to good players under Ashley, and that's the thing. That's it. Gordon, hi Gordon. Sorry. Think Brighton will beat us. They need it more. Why do Brighton need it more? Have I misunderstood something with Brighton? I thought they were safe. Are they not safe? Are they still in danger of being relegated? I thought they were safe, so I hadn't sort of factored that in really. I thought it was a bit of a, nothing game. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with settings here. And now I can't get it off my screen, and I don't know what I've done. There we go. Jordy says it's never an easy match down at the Amex. Yeah, and like I said, we don't have a great record down there. I think I know we have won down there in the past, but we beat them in the Championship down there, didn't we? But I can't remember the result last season down there. If anyone can remember that, let me know. West Ham are safe. Yeah, so if West Ham are safe, Brighton must be safe. So I don't understand why they have more to play for, unless they just want to get higher up the league, and Newcastle just don't seem to care about where they finish as long as they're safe. And in a sense, who does? I mean, it's just fizzled out into nothing, hasn't it? Which is a real shame. So, yeah, give me your score predictions. I think someone said 2-1. Who was it that said 2-1? Liam said 2-1 defeat. No Maximan or Lascelles. Yeah, we have got a few injuries as well, haven't we? Which isn't going to help us. That's not going to help us at all. So there we go. 3-0 to Brighton, Paul says. It's hard to be positive about Newcastle, isn't it? After the last few performances, it's just been very, very disappointing. The Watford game was just that second half. It was just so bad, so bad. Especially after that, it was really frustrating because the first half was not too bad. Like, we were in control of that game, and then we came out in the second half, and clearly Nigel Pearson had kind of laid into Watford a bit and told them to play better, and they did, but we just didn't respond. And it's like, and I know people want to blame Bruce for that, and you know, he needs to shoulder some of the blame, but the players as well need to have a bit more professional responsibility in that situation, and they need to be able to adapt and raise their level in a game. They shouldn't need to be told that, you know. I think Mark says the Brighton game has a boring 0-0 written all over it. Quite possibly. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't even know who's going to play for us, because we've got quite. Sorry, I'm putting my fingers in front of the camera. We've got quite a few players out, haven't we? The defence worries me. I mean, I've said on previous live streams that the defence is okay. It's not been a problem too much, but the last few games it's looked awful. And if it had been as bad a defence as it has been for the last two games, then we'd be in the relegation battle completely. So apparently Brighton need a point. Technically they need a point, although goal difference is so much they will want it more. Okay, so they're not fully mathematically safe, but technically pretty much are. I think they'll be fine. Maybe they will want it more. They usually seem to be up for games against us anyway, and we always seem to kind of be slow in these games. So, what does everyone think about Leeds coming up? Personally, I mean, I don't really like Leeds, but I am happy that Leeds are back in the Premier League, because I think the Premier League's better for having a team like Leeds in, who, in my opinion, will bring good support, and it's a northern-based club as well. So, you know, it's a closer away day. I believe it becomes our closest away day, actually, next season, because I think it'll be closer than Burnley is. And in fact, it's for me personally, it's the closest game, even closer than St James's Park from where I live. But I'm pleased that Leeds are back up. I actually live in Scarborough, and there's loads of Leeds fans around here, so I'll probably get fed up of hearing about Leeds being promoted over the next couple of weeks. But you can't blame them; they've been out of the top division for so long. But yeah, it's good. I'm glad. I'm just glad that, and this is just my view, but I think losing a team like Bournemouth and gaining a team like Leeds is better for the Premier League. I just think, you know, I've often thought about doing this, but like if I could list the 20 teams to make up the Premier League, then I might do it one day. But I think Leeds would definitely be in that top 20 because for me, football's about great fans and great atmospheres, and I think teams like Leeds give you that more than a team like Bournemouth or Watford, for example. So. Let's see what people say. Marks, please, Leeds have been promoted, which is good. I don't know what Leeds, oof. I don't know what that means, Paul, but is that a good thing? Yeah, and Geordie's just saying exactly what I've said. Rather have Leeds in the Premier League than Bournemouth, absolutely. Middlesbrough probably down. I've not looked at the Championship table. The other day they kind of looked like they were all right, but has things gone badly for Middlesbrough again? They could be going down to League One, which would be a disaster for Middlesbrough. So there we go. Gordon, yeah, they'll be crawling out of the woodwork. Of course, I mean, yeah, they do. The Leeds fans around here are just, they do crawl out of the woodwork when they do well. It's amazing how many more Leeds shirts suddenly appear when Leeds. So Scarborough will be full of Leeds shirts over the next few weeks. Richard Keys. Belly says, Richard Keys was wrong again. What a shocker. I don't know why anyone sort of thought that he would be right. Like, why would he know? Why would he know that it's going on, Obviously, we're all clinging to the hope that this deal is going to happen, but if we're having Richard Keys as our trusted source, then we're in trouble, aren't we, I think? Which is... We just want it to happen, but it's just so disappointing. Paul Jackson, don't like Leeds, never like Leeds. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of Leeds, I must be honest, but I just think it's personally better to have, almost like you want those teams that you don't like because you get a better atmosphere and there's more kind of feeling in those games, isn't there? Dirty Leeds, says Andy. Yeah. Dirty Leeds, absolutely. But, everyone's just putting dirty Leeds. We know they're dirty. They are Leeds, but I think the game at St James's will be better. That will be a better atmosphere, and the game at Ellen Road will be a good atmosphere as long as fans can get in. What do people think actually about the announcement that fans could be allowed into the stadiums as early as October? That took me by surprise today. Would you be comfortable going to watch a football match in October in a stadium? What do you think about that? My view is I think as long as the trend keeps going downwards, October's like 3 months away, I would probably be happy at that point as long as the risk was very, very low and getting lower. 3 months is a long time, so obviously I would make a decision at the time. But I think the way that things are projecting at the moment, as long as that continues, I think in 3 months, I think I'd probably want to go back. I probably would attend a match, but I would obviously make a decision closer to the time. And I think that if things get worse, then obviously they wouldn't go for that. But it's interesting. I genuinely thought it'd be like January at the earliest. I didn't think we'd see live crowds this year again. I really didn't think that. Maybe we won't, but the government are clearly trying to do that. Gordon says, I think Middlesbrough will be okay now. They have a tough match against Cardiff tomorrow. Yeah, the last time I looked, I think they were about 3 or 4 points above relegation, so they obviously need another result or two, but there's a lot of poor teams down at the bottom of that championship. Anthony says, Leeds are not as dirty as the Premiership mucking us about. I mean, we're into month 4. I mean, what more can we say about the takeover? It's just, everything is just horrendous. Paul says October's not a good idea. No way would he go into a stadium in October. Like I say, I would have to make a decision at the time, but like I say, on current projections, everything is trending downwards. So as long as that continues, then we'll see. Liam says, I'm going to go to the first game. Can you make a video on it? Good. That's interesting. Yeah, absolutely. I have said this before, but yeah, part of the plan for this channel is to go to matches and do like match day vlog stuff. So yeah, that is the plan. Certainly for away games and possibly some at St James's Park as well. I think the away games might be a better atmosphere. Yeah, and I've just realised it's my brother. Sorry. So Andy Smith says, I'll be going back to West Ham if it is safe. So yeah, my brother he got a season ticket at West Ham, and yeah, if it's October and it is safe, no problem. Paul, there might be an argument about the government making it, money, and that's it. It probably is, but I do think that October is still quite a long way away, and I think that, like I say, if the trends keep going downwards, we could be in a pretty good position by October. Like the town I live in, the news came out today saying that there's been absolutely no new cases of COVID in my town for the last 2 weeks now. So, and I'm obviously that's one small town in a whole country, but generally the trends are going the right way. And so by October, you never know. Jackie says, face masks, no singing. Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting, wouldn't it, about face masks? Would all the crowd have to wear face masks at that time? That could be interesting, couldn't it? With no singing. Who knows? Geordie says, depends on the measures around. Yeah, again, and obviously, I'm just saying what I think at the moment. But obviously, if it came to the crunch, I would consider all those things. I would consider what measures that the Premier League have put in, what measures Newcastle have put in around St James's Park. What would be the rules about attending? Would it be full capacities? Because that's the other thing. Could it be crowds but 50% capacity or something? Which would be, how would that even work? Could that possibly even work? I don't know if it could. Just Joe says, hey, just got here, what did I miss? Well, to be honest, Joe, I just kind of, it's a bit of an impromptu live stream, really. I've just picked my phone up and decided I'm just sat here. I've had quite a busy day and a busy week, and I wasn't going to do a live stream, but I just thought I'd have a quick chat about Newcastle and stuff. I've only put one video out this week, so I just thought I'd catch up with a few of you and just see what you thought about the latest stuff. The gaming train. I feel bad for Lazaro. Even if he scored 2 hat-tricks, it wouldn't be enough to sign him. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him, really. I mean, from what we've seen, the little that we have seen of him, he's looked decent, and I don't understand why he's not had more game time. And to me, he looks decent enough to kind of at least consider keeping. Like, I just don't know what's going on. Honestly, don't know. What does everyone else think about Lazaro? Does everyone else want to keep him? Do you think he should have more game time? Do you think he should be given more of a chance by Bruce? Bruce doesn't seem that keen on playing him all that much, which is interesting. Andy says he lives 20 minutes from the London Stadium, West Ham Stadium. There's only been 180 official COVID-19 cases in your town since lockdown began. Wow, that's actually really low. That surprises me. Because I obviously know where you live, and it's like a really densely populated part of the country in Essex. And that's not a lot of cases, is it? That's not a lot of cases. I know I sound optimistic, but I think we're 100% going down next year. You sound pessimistic. You're not optimistic if you think we're definitely going to go down. Yeah, look, if this takeover doesn't happen like within the next 3 months, say before the January transfer window, we will be in big trouble next season. If we go into next season with Steve Bruce and an under-invested, underfunded squad, we are going to be in massive trouble, because I do not believe Steve Bruce can possibly repeat what he's done this season. And I'm not talking about performances here, which have been shocking on the whole. I know we've had like a handful of decent games. I mean, like, he won't be lucky enough to get the wins we've got. And if the defence doesn't pick up again, that's a massive concern, because for most of the season, the defence has been pretty good. The last few games, it's been awful, but it's been different players here and there, and chopping and changing and that sort of thing. I think we've missed Lascelles and stuff like that in the last game. But but it just has to go through. If it doesn't go through, we're going to have a long season next season with Bruce and another really bad Ashley planned pre-season. It's just not going to be good. Mark says, do you think the Saudis will set up their own TV rights to sweeten the deal for the Premier League? I'm no expert on this stuff, and I never claim to be. Can that even happen? I know people have said, I've read it. Obviously, people, when like the news came out earlier this week, it was like 50% of the people were saying, "Oh, this definitely means the deal is off," and 50% were like, "Oh, this is great for the takeover. This means it's going to happen," because Saudi Arabia are just going to set up their own rights area and get the rights. Can that happen? Surely the current rights holders would have something to say about that. I know that the Saudis have apparently banned beIN Sports, and it's such a messy situation, and it's one that I honestly don't fully understand, because that region is just, the politics that goes on over there it's bizarre. So Mark, to answer your question, I've got no idea, but I'm sure if they can sweeten the deal by setting up their own area and getting Premier League TV rights, they will do that. But I'm no legal expert. I don't know if it's possible. Paul thinks ship him out. Interesting. Geordie says he likes Lazaro but would not spend 20 million on him. Yeah, that is fair, actually, Geordie. You wouldn't want to spend 20 million quid on him until we see more action from him. Another loan next season would be a good way to go, which I agree with. You can't spend £20 million on someone who's played like 7 or 8 games, and not even full games at that. It's not a big enough sample size to know it's just not a big enough sample size to know what he's worth in the Premier League. Keith, hi Ian. I think last year was similar circumstances for Brighton away. Brighton needed a point to stay up, and they got it in a 1-1 draw. Perhaps the same result again. Possibly. You've got a better memory than me, because I couldn't remember the result from last season. But yeah, I mean, it could well be a draw, couldn't it? But then the way we have been playing, it just depends. If we play like we did against Bournemouth, we'll probably win. But if we play like we did against Watford, we will lose. And if we play somewhere in the middle, maybe we'll draw. Who knows? Just Joe, out of the 17 teams that will stay up, I think we are by far the most inconsistent team in the league. What do you think? Like I said, I think we've been lucky in a lot of games, and I know that there's a narrative in the media about, Bruce having done a wonderful job and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, we've been lucky in a lot of games. We have been so lucky in so many games. And yes, the defence has kept things tight. And yes, we've taken our chances. And, we've won a lot of points with very few goals. And that's great. But can you repeat that next season? That's not an easy thing to do again, especially with the performances we put in. Because let's be honest, the performances we put in have been not very good. Andy, Lazaro hasn't done enough to suggest he can score enough goals to keep us up. We need to sign someone who can score 12 plus goals. Well, that's true. I mean, let's talk about Joe Linton, shall we? I've been watching him more closely in the last few weeks, really trying to get a feel of what kind of player he is. And I know he scored obviously in one of the games against Sheffield United, but he cost £40 million. But do you know what strikes me about Joe Linton? It's the fact that when you watch him, you don't think, wow, he's like something really special. I don't watch Joe Linton and think, oh, he's some player, he's got something about him. I think he's just I just don't understand how he's worth £40 million. I know that's not his fault. He didn't ask to be signed for that, but £40 million. He's not. Forget about the goal scoring thing. He just doesn't look like a top class player in my view. And I've tried to defend the lad. If you've watched my live streams for the last few weeks, as we came up to Project Restart, I was trying to be kind to him, but I really do struggle to see what he's adding to that team. I know he works hard, to be fair to him, but because he's even played in different positions now. He's not just played as a striker. He's played in that sort of role behind the strikers and stuff, and it just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be working for him. Elizabeth says, hopefully we won't have so many injuries next year. Hubby says, improving the training facilities will be needed for that to happen. I mean, yeah, totally right. I mean, the training facilities, as we know, are not Premier League standard. They're not up there with the best in the league. There's Championship teams with better training facilities than us. There's probably League One teams with better training facilities than us, which is shouldn't happen, but it has. Mark says we would have been in trouble if Alan Saint-Maximin hadn't been in such good form. Yeah, that is true. He those 2 or 3 games when we first restarted the season, he really did, and obviously the Bournemouth game, we really did kind of rely on him, and he was the difference maker for us. Daniel, what is happening with the takeover, Ian? It's killing me. I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you, but it's killing me too. 4 months now, 4 months of this. Barry, I agree. We have looked garbage in 90% of the games. It's not been good performances this season. It just hasn't been. And anyone who says otherwise is either hasn't watched us enough, or is just has an agenda. I'm telling you now, the takeover is imminent, and it will happen next week on Friday. Just you wait. Yeah, I mean, if it is, great, but I know you're joking. Bruce needs to go even without the takeover. He has to go. Bruce isn't going anywhere if the takeover doesn't happen. Just get used to it. He'll be our manager next season if this takeover doesn't happen. That said, if the takeover does happen, there's absolutely no doubt that they'll get rid of him, because it's just been shocking. Greetings from Nashville. Hello, over in the States. My brother, actually, Andy Smith, who's in the chat, he has visited Nashville a few times. He's got friends over there. I've never been lucky enough to go myself, but nice part of the world, I believe. If the takeover doesn't happen, do you think we'll be able to hold on to Saint-Maximin and Almiron? I really don't. I think Saint-Maximin, I think Ashley will cash in on him, and Almiron possibly the same. Almiron's interesting. I don't know what people think about this, and maybe this is slightly controversial, but I think that Almiron is good. I like him, and I love his effort, and I love the guy. I just think he's great. He looks like he always wants to do really well. But I think that he needs to impose himself on games. He needs to take games by the scruff of the neck more. He needs to impose his will on the games and be the difference maker, because I just think if he wants to be at that level, he needs to be scoring. He needs to be more clinical in front of goal. He had a couple of chances early against Tottenham, and he didn't take them. And certainly one of them was a really good chance. And I'm thinking that's a chance he should take, and he's not taking those. But if he did, that would elevate us, and it would elevate him too. So I would fully expect, if a really good offer comes in for either of those players, Ashley to cash in. But then, it could depend on the takeover, couldn't it? I'm not sure. But if the takeover fails, like Belly81 says, Saint-Maximin will be sold, and I agree with that, unfortunately, because I think there's a lot of attention about him, and I think, if someone bids, I mean, what do we pay for him, like 18 million? If someone bids like 35, 40, Ashley's not going to turn that down, is he? Just Joe, can you do a live watch along the Brighton on Monday night? I will consider that, actually. I've not done one for a few games. If I can get it set up in a way where I know my internet will hold up, I might just do that, Joe. I will let you know. I'll let you know. Barry says Alan Saint-Maximin and Almiron will want to go. Ashley won't have to bend them out. Yeah, That's true. I mean, who knows what they'll want? What must they be thinking? What must Saint-Maximin be thinking? I think Saint-Maximin's going to be very. I think he's very driven to get to the top. I think he knows he's good, and he knows that Newcastle at the moment is a stepping stone club. That said, if the takeover does go through, I'm sure that he'll be a player who will want to prove himself and be part of something special going forwards. So I've just lost my chat for a second. Where's it gone? There it is. Gordon says Almiron has improved and will continue to do so with a better coach than Bruce. I do totally agree with that. I agree that Almiron... I'm not knocking Almiron, by the way. I like him a lot. I think he's a great player, and I think with better players around him, and yes, a better manager, he will be a very, very good player. However, I just think we need a bit more productivity for him, certainly in front of goal. Belly says Cher has looked shocking for the last few games. Don't know what's going on with him. Obviously, he's out now, broken his collarbone. But yeah, that run of games for Cher, is that a thing with Bruce? Is that... I don't know what's going on with him, because last season we all loved him and he was great. You don't just turn into a bad player. Maybe it was just a bad run of form, but maybe he'll be able to come back and regain that form he had last season that made us all sort of fall in love with him. Andy, if the takeover happens, who would you keep from the current squad? Good question. I've said this a few times that I think we've got a really good spine of players in the squad. I think we've got Dubravka. I would keep Lascelles because I think I really like him. I think he's a good captain. I know that if the takeover happens, you might upgrade there. I'm not saying Lascelles is the best defender ever, but I do like him, and I think he's another player that if you put even better players around him, I think he'd cope with that, and that would raise his level. And then who else would I keep? I'd probably keep. I would keep Almiron. I would keep Saint-Maximin. Who else would I keep? I'd maybe even keep Hayden, to be honest with you. I really do rate him. But I know that he might be another one that goes in the summer, because I think he was going to leave last season, but I don't know. We'll see. Who would you keep? Who would everyone else keep? Jordy says Dubravka, Almiron, Saint-Maximin are the only ones I would certainly keep. Yeah, I think they're the three definites. And then I think, like I said, there are a few others. I think Danny Rose seems to be a bit of a Marmite player. People seem to either really have it in for him or think he's quality. I think, again, with good coaching and just more consistency in the team, I think Danny Rose looks quality. So he's another one that you possibly want to sign. I know he's on loan at the moment, but you might want to sign him. It changed for Cher when we went flat back for... What happened to Lejeune? Is he injured? I've got no idea what happened to Lejeune, to be honest. Does anybody know? Was he injured? Yeah, bad coaches produce bad players and ruin good players, and that is a massive part of the problem. And this is why, when people talk about Rafa and Bruce, it's not just about the results. It's about player development. It's about the vision for the club. And Rafa had it, and Bruce doesn't. Bruce is just your average kind of... He'll work with what he's got, and he won't do a great job. He doesn't train them hard. We know that. They don't train as hard. And the fact we've got more injuries is sort of proof of that, because under Rafa we had far fewer injuries than we have had under most managers in recent times. The manager's a massive problem. It's not good enough. Yedlin is going, isn't he, Daniel? So Yedlin is... He's just signed an extension until the end of the Premier League season, but Yedlin is going. Richie has quality. I'd keep him as well. Richie's the kind of player you'd probably want in your squad through a transition period, because he is... he has that. He's not the best. He's not the most gifted footballer, but he gets the club, and he would be good for new players coming in to kind of... he'd just be a good person to have in the dressing room. That's what I think. I keep losing my chat on this. I'm doing it on my phone tonight, if you've noticed, so it's kind of a bit different for me. I hope it's okay. Is Matty Longstaff staying? I want him to. What about you? I really want him to stay, and I just think I'm not saying Matty Longstaff is going to be a world beater. I'm not saying he is a great player now even. But I think for someone who's so young, it would be a tragedy to kind of lose him at, what is he, 19? It would be really bad to lose him now and then find out in 5 years' time that he is brilliant or he develops into an absolutely world-class player that you could have kept. So I just think, try and keep him. But then we've got this whole narrative about whether it's the club have offered him a good contract and it's him that's playing funny, or is he being pushed out because the club aren't really offering him a good contract. We'll never know that truth, and what you believe will come down to whether you believe the word of Steve Bruce and Mike Ashley or whether you kind of can make your own mind up, because Matty Longstaff's not going to say anything, but, you know, have they made him a great offer? Bruce has said they've made him a great offer, but do we know that they have? But I'd love Longstaff to stay, just even if it's just for another 3 years or something, just so you can properly gauge whether he's going to turn into a very good player or not. That would be my view. If the takeover Mark says if the takeover happens, Matty stays. If not, he'll go. Yeah, I don't even know if that's true. Again, it comes back to what you believe. It just seems to me like at the moment he's definitely going. It looks to me like he's going to go to Italy for more money. But then, like I say, if Newcastle haven't really offered him a great contract, could you blame him? Alex says Shelvey seems to me like he's losing his amazing long ball skills under Bruce. I don't agree with that at all. I think Shelvey is playing really well, and his long ball skills are good, but he's always been hit and miss with them. For every fantastic 40, 50-yard pass, he will hit a one that doesn't work. And I think he's actually been playing really well at the moment, Shelvey. I think he's been one of our better players over the last few games. And yeah, I'm pretty I kind of like Shelvey. He's, again, if the takeover happens, he's not the kind of player that you'd keep. But in the current setup, he's fine. Colkin reckons that they've made Longstaff a decent offer. So, I mean, obviously Colkin is a journalist that I respect and value his opinion. So if he's saying that, then maybe there is a bit more truth in that. There is a good deal. So then, does it come down to Matty Longstaff not wanting to stay? Does Matty Longstaff think if the takeover happens, he wouldn't have a chance at Newcastle? I can't believe a Geordie would think that there's a takeover's going to happen and not be excited about that and try to fight to prove that he's worthy of staying. So, but then I don't think the players know about the takeover either. I don't think it's not like they have more. I don't think they've got much more information than us really. He's clearly off. He's played about 9 minutes since the restart, and we're playing Share in his position. Yeah, I mean that is a really telling stat. For some reason, Bruce doesn't want to play him. It's very, very bizarre. Very bizarre. I don't think he wants to make a decision with so much uncertainty. It could, yeah, you could be right there, Mark. It could be that he's just waiting for someone to say this is happening, and then he'll say, okay, yeah, I'll sign it. But then he's got to sign by a certain date, hasn't he? Because like he signed a mini extension till the end of the season, like Yedlin did, for example. But then he presumably has to make a decision. Keith's going back to the stadiums possibly reopening. Obviously, that was news that came in. How about 30% capacity at stadiums when trialling for the first few matches in the new season with no away fans? Would that work? Could even try having a few fans at pre-season friendlies. Yeah. To be fair, I've just seen the headline about possible fans in stadiums in October. I didn't look at what the actual proposal from the government might have been, but was it for a reduced capacity? And Barry's kind of just made my next point. How do you choose the 30%? If you've got so many season ticket holders that are more than that, like if you've got a percentage of season ticket holders that's more than 30% of your stadium, you know, are they on a rota? Are they told which games they can go to? How are families allowed to sit together? Or is it every like 3 seats misses one? It's very complicated. I think you've got to have all or nothing. I think that's probably what you have to do. Can you imagine 52,000 people in St James's Park in October? I hope so, but like I say, if the downward trends continue, I would probably still go. And let's be honest, football without supporters in the stadium is pretty crap, isn't it? It's not been that good. I was excited at the start of Project Restart, but maybe Newcastle's performances and results haven't helped my enjoyment of late. Obviously, the Bournemouth game aside, the kind of just the level of performance and the results we've been getting, you just kind of want the season to end, don't you? I think it's pretty dire stuff. Right, I'll probably go in the next few minutes. So it's been really good to chat to all of you actually. So thank you for joining me. Let's see what else we've got just before I sign off. Daniel, Ashley would love it and have us all bidding. I don't know what you mean by that. Do you mean he'd just love the fact that there'd be people paying money to get into the ground? He probably would, because he likes making money. I was enjoying the lockdown until Project Restart. I enjoyed the beginning of Project Restart. That first week was pretty good. I enjoyed the Sheffield United game. The Villa game was all right. It wasn't amazing, but and obviously the Bournemouth game has been good. Yeah, exactly. 7 points from the first 3 games, secured safety, and it was very good to do that. And some of the performances were good. Let's not forget that. That was probably some of the best performances we've put in all season. The Sheffield United and Bournemouth game in particular. Jordy, if the takeover happens, who would you love to sign? I get asked this all the time, and I'm probably like a really bad person to answer that question, because people always like seem to have this in-depth knowledge of European leagues and all the European players, and I don't. I just kind of I don't follow any other leagues really. I follow Newcastle. I know a bit about obviously other players in the Premier League and stuff, but I don't really follow the top European leagues. So when people start naming like random players from like Atletico Madrid or something like that, I genuinely I don't know much about them. So I just kind of judge them when we sign players, really. I just make my own opinion when we sign people. I just trust that the people in charge buy good players. But, you know, there's lots of players I'd like to see. Andy's saying Kane. Obviously, just a good striker would be a striker who actually is a Premier League level striker would be a start. But where do you get one of them from? Maybe Kane. He wants a new challenge, doesn't he? And maybe if Pochettino becomes our manager, maybe that could happen. You see, Jordy, you're saying Sancho from Dortmund, right? And I'm sure Sancho from Dortmund is fantastic, and he would probably improve our team. But I don't know anything about him. I really don't know anything about him. So I'm not the best person to ask that question, and I won't even pretend that I am. So apologies for that. Peter, hi for joining us, Peter. Sorry I'm late. Was busy watching Duran? I don't know what that is. Is that Duran? Or is that something else that I'm not getting? Whatever it was, I hope it was good. I'm actually going to sign off soon. But Anonymous Jordy says he wants a new manager and new owner for a new start. We all do. Roberto Duran documentaries. Okay. I again, won't pretend I know what that is. Anyway, before I go then, who would just if you could all put one player that you would like us to sign if the takeover happens, do that now. Thank you, Peter. Yes, my hair was done last week, and I'm very pleased with it because it's not out here anymore and dead thick and stuff. So it's all right. Kane, yeah, I mean, I would obviously take Kane because he's massively better than anything we've got, and he's quality. And I think he probably does want to leave Tottenham for a new challenge. Yeah, Danny Ings. I mean, if you're looking at like a stepping stone player, then Ings might be a good shout because he's the kind of player that will improve us at the moment, but he's not the kind of player you're going to keep for 5 years if you have the vision that these Saudis will want for us. But yeah, why not? Bale, obviously I know a bit about Bale, and again, anyone who says you don't want to sign Gareth Bale, I kind of think, well, yeah, okay, he's not played a lot, but he's still going to be better than like everyone else in our squad. I wouldn't take Zaha, to be honest with you, Peter. I think he blows hot and cold. But then again, the argument comes, is he better than what we've got at the moment? And the answer is probably yes. Grealish, yeah. At least you're naming Premier League players, so I know a bit about them. Yeah, again, Grealish, could you put up with his awful dive? Did you see his dive the other night? Grealish's dive. I mean, that was so embarrassing. De Bruyne, yeah, De Bruyne. Not going to happen, is it? Antonio, do you know what, Andy? I know he scored like 4 goals or whatever it is in 3. What did he score? 5 goals? How many goals did he score against Norwich? Was it 4? And then he scored another one tonight. But isn't he pretty rubbish? Isn't he? Like, he's not that good, is he? He's not that good. Son from Tottenham. Looks like we're going to sign lots of Tottenham players. Here's a question for you, and I've seen this one knocking about. I'm sure he is a beast, and I'm sure that he would improve us, actually. But here's a question for you all. Would you take Mourinho as our manager? Because that was a debate that was raging the other day. I know he's probably not going to come because he's at Tottenham, but would anybody take Mourinho? Just imagine if the Saudi takeover has gone through. Personally, I think that he's had his day. I'm not actually that keen on Mourinho, if I'm honest with you. I've never really liked him. Barry says yes. Sean says no. Too miserable. Andy says no. Busted flush. He does seem to be, yeah, and that's kind of like my opinion. He just seems like his time has kind of gone, I think. His style and the game's kind of moved on. But people are saying yes. Tactical genius, but he's a short-term manager. I have seen that argument. Who's just said that? Barry. Mourinho with money. I have seen this, that he's had success wherever he's gone, whenever he's had like an unlimited pot of money. Can he still do that in this day and age? I guess the only way to find out is if he ever manages a club that has an unlimited pot of money to spend. Yeah, I'd take him over Bruce. Yeah, I mean, we'd all take him over Bruce. I'm talking about like if the takeover happens and it's like Rafa, Pochettino, or Mourinho. You know, would you take him if you've got your pick of any of those like decent managers? Yeah. Andy saying Pochettino. I take me over Bruce. Yeah, we need to get rid of him. Pochettino. You know, like when the takeover news started, like if anyone can remember when it started months and months ago, it's a hazy memory now. I know. And it was sort of everyone was saying Pochettino or Rafa. I was all for I was 50-50, but like I really kind of had that sentimental thing about Rafa. But the more time's gone on, the more I've lent more towards Pochettino because I just think that he will be kind of fresher, newer ideas. I think we maybe need to stop being sentimental and kind of just appreciate Rafa for what he did. We all loved him, or most of us did. And the time's moved on, and we need to move on. And if we get new owners, let's get a new, younger manager. And I think Pochettino would be a great shout. I really, really do. Yeah. And he did do a great job at Spurs. There's this narrative that he's somehow, he didn't win anything. And, well, you know what? Keegan didn't win anything with us, but he was a bloody brilliant manager. You know, you don't have to... Not every manager has to win stuff to be a good manager. Sean Dyche. Yeah, I've seen a couple of people mention Sean Dyche. I mean, I would be interested to see what Sean Dyche could do at another club. I'm not sure I'd want him at Newcastle necessarily, especially if you're talking about a Saudi takeover with lots and lots of money. But, you know, we will see. We will see. And, yeah, Pochettino did do a good job at Spurs. Jordan, Jurgen Klopp. Yeah, I mean, if we're playing fantasy football, you'd have Klopp probably, but he's not going to leave Liverpool anytime soon. Nor is Pep going to come to us either. But you know, if you're playing fantasy football, maybe. Lots of people saying Pochettino. Roberto Mancini. Interesting. Zidane. Yeah. I mean. I mean, what's Roberto Mancini done recently? I again, like I say, I don't really follow the European leagues much. I assume he went back to Italy. Is he like Juventus's manager or something? I don't know. Who does he manage? Does he manage Italy? Is he the national team manager? I know he's won the Premier League. I'm just wondering what he does now. Like, is he Italy's manager? Let me know. Let me know in the comments, because I don't know what he's doing. I don't track his career. But he's an interesting chap. He was obviously the one Man City turned to in order to win their first Premier League, wasn't he? He won their. He was the one that got them over that line. Bring back Wenger as director of football. I'm not sure what that would do. Is he at Inter Milan? Oh, right, okay. Italy's man. He went to Inter Milan, didn't he? He went after Man City. He went back to Inter Milan, but I don't think he's there now. So, oh well. If anyone can Google that, I can't do that at the moment because I don't have my laptop. Well, yeah, Mark. The thing is with Jurgen Klopp's mate, who got Huddersfield promoted, he then went to is it Schalke and has just not done very well there. It kind of fell apart at Huddersfield, and then he went back to Germany and hasn't done that well there. I forgot his name. What's he called, that guy? Who's that German manager called? Klopp Light. Who was he? Someone will tell me in a minute on the comments. I can't remember. He is Italy manager. And Jane's a City fan. She loved him at City. Interesting. David Wagner, that's it. David Wagner. So Mancini, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. There's a guy who sells guitars around the corner called Mancini, which is spelled the same way. So I think it's Mancini because I think it's the other way around. That's just a random reference. I know that Andy will get that in the chat. Klopp, like, yeah. Well, he wasn't he? He was like, he kind of was a bit like Klopp, but not as cool. I do like Jurgen Klopp. Anyway, right, listen, it's been great to chat. I'm going to have to get a drink, so I'm going to have to Scarborough Mancini over Bruce. I'd love to see that. He would probably be better. I am going to sign off, so it's been really good doing this impromptu live thing on my phone. That was a new thing that I've done. So I'm going to sign off. I will have a new video out over the weekend, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll see you really soon for another video. And now I need to figure out how I stop this live stream on my phone, because I've never done that before. So I'll just say bye, and then if I'm still here for a few seconds and it's a bit awkward, just pretend that I've gone.